Most people will never truly change because they'll never challenge themselves honestly. They'll challenge society, they'll challenge authority, they'll challenge politics, and they'll challenge other people, but they'll never challenge themselves, whether their habits, their excuses, their reactions, or their identity. And that is why they stay stuck. So stick around and figure out how to become unstuck. June is Men's Mental Health Month, and I want you to know reaching out is what strength looks like. Courage is being here with us every day. Men die by suicide at a much higher rate than women, accounting for 80% of all suicide fatalities. Just remember, I want you to be here, and so do your loved ones. Finding help is easier than ever before. 988 Suicide Hotline, NAMI.org, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and BetterHelp.com. If you need help immediately, dial 988 to get help right away. Otherwise, if you know somebody who needs help, visit 988lifeline.org and click on the Help Someone Else button. Welcome back to Undivided. I'm your host, Adam Maxwell, where we talk about rebuilding your life through faith, discipline, and adventure. Did you know that growth only begins when you stop letting your excuses work? Today, we're going to be talking about challenging yourself and being honest about it, and how to deal with the world once you start. It begins with these 4 easy things. First is going to be the self-examination of yourself. Second is honesty about yourself. The next is identity rebuilding, so rebuilding what you're trying to become, and challenging your comfort and your comfortable behaviors, right? The things that you lean into once you come home after a long day's work, the things that you do when you first wake up every morning, or the things that you're doing while you're laying in bed at night trying to go to sleep. So self-examination is probably the hardest part because you have to be truly, brutally honest with yourself. And nobody likes to be wrong. Doesn't mean you need to go out there and scream it to the world, right? Don't forget about this. Like, if you need help, you can go seek help. You can find a person to help you with your problems. You can find a friend to help you with your issues, somebody that you trust truly. We'll be talking about some of the stuff that comes along with that trust, being a trustworthy person for somebody who needs help. But self-examination, that really is a difficult one because you got to be honest with yourself. And you also need to start writing these things down because thoughts are fleeting. They come and they go. You forget stuff. You don't remember some of the things that you think of, but journaling is a big part of that and the power of your own words. So we'll get into how to begin journaling and how to go about the questions to ask yourself to start this self-examination and who you are. Honesty about oneself. So be honest about where you are failing and falling short in your life today. And if you want to, go a bit further than that, you can start writing down how to change those issues. Like, where are you not coming up to where you want to be? Where are you falling short? Identity rebuilding. Again, none of this is easy. Otherwise, everybody'd be perfect, right? None of this is easy. That's why you're here. You didn't give up yet because you know that you can be a better version of yourself. So identity rebuilding, it's who you are now and who you want to see looking back in that mirror every morning or every evening. And then challenging your comfort. What behaviors come easily and have negative consequences? Whether it's as soon as you get done with work, you crack a beer. As soon as you get done with work, or while you're working, you smoke some weed, or you go online and you start death scrolling, or the list goes on, and we'll go over those things here in a little bit. You're the only one that can control these things. So let's dig into this a little bit deeper and see what it takes to become that better version of yourself. You can't become someone new while projecting the habits of your old life. Okay? You can't become somebody new while protecting the habits of your old life. It'd be your current life, but you know, the old life, the thing that you're moving away from. Um, Oftentimes people just continue to live their lives and they operate on autopilot. They just continue cruising on along, um, and not even really realizing some of the habits that they do have. So the first thing to look at when you're operating on autopilot, something to look at to be able to self-examine, is some of your unconscious habits, the things that you just automatically do. That could be mindless scrolling on your phone. It's just, it's so easy. It's one that I struggle with it on a pretty regular basis. I've been working really hard not to, but I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm perfect. Oh, listen to me. I don't do that. I absolutely do. It is psychotically addictive. They know how to get you to, that dopamine release or whatever you want to call it. Procrastination in your life. It's easier to sit there and chill than it is to go fishing for 2 hours before you got to go to work or whatever. Um, Poor sleep habits. These are unconscious habits, things that you don't even really notice in the long term. So if you have poor sleep habits, you're staying up too late, you're scrolling too long, you're not getting the work done that you need to, you're not getting enough sleep. It's really hard to function when you're not sleeping enough. It just happened to my youngest the other day, right? He had 3 friends over. They were partying it up, eating popcorn and watching movies all night, playing Legos. They're 11 years old, so they don't get down too hard. But it just goes to show that one night, the next day, they went after it. They were playing all day, went to baseball practice, came home, and he passed out on the couch at like 7 o'clock, like snoring, and he does not do that. So if it affects a little kid that's got like boundless amounts of nuclear energy, um, how do you think it's affecting you? You just don't get to. You just got to keep going because you're an adult, right? So what does that cause? It causes anxiety, it causes stress, it causes anger, it causes all these other emotions that have built the person that you are, and you got to try to work on those poor unconscious habits. Ignoring warning signs from the body. Like I'm saying, quick fix solutions to handle the issues, whether you're drinking Red Bull, whether you're drinking too much coffee, which I'm guilty of. I love a cup of coffee. And, selective listening to other people, just nodding, pretending like you're there, but you're not. Deflecting true stress with humor. That's something that I've talked about in earlier episodes that, I was always the comedian. Maybe I'm not as funny as I used to be. Um, but it's hard to have a comedian that's clean, right? So it's the humor deflection, trying to avoid any issue with stress or any issue with other people, uh, or problems at work, with humor deflection, and just avoiding everything at all costs, right? You try not to talk to anybody. You try to stay away from groups. You don't socialize. And I've found that socializing is an extremely beneficial thing. Again, operating on autopilot are some inherited beliefs, right? Like, what are the beliefs in your life that you have inherited? Oh, good, that you've inherited. I usually silence my phone, ladies and gents. Oh goodness, I'm gonna cut that. No, you got it. I'm not gonna cut none of it out. You're gonna be a part of this. This is not. I don't cut nothing out. So we're gonna silence that phone. I usually always make sure to do that. As you can tell, a video came up right away when I opened my phone. So what does that tell you? I was probably scrolling earlier. Not probably, I certainly was. So it's one of my issues. I've got them too. So inherited beliefs, things that you learned from your parents or your siblings or whatever. So like one of the big ones is net worth equals self worth, right? So you aren't worth anything unless you're worth money or you have things. And that in today's society, it feels like that's like an absolute truth. But if you're honest with yourself and you work hard anyway, and your self worth is not based on your bank account. Having some money tucked away is always comfortable, right? It relieves a little bit of stress. So instead of making it about I'm not worth anything unless I have money or things. Make it more about, thankfully, I'm blessed enough to have money so that I don't have to worry so much. And oftentimes, with that net worth or what and equaling self worth, you go out and you buy things that you don't need sometimes. Um, and that drains your bank account too. So you have to look a certain way, right? Society has these norms that are garbage, they're lies. They're pumped into our brains every day on social media. Um, Being a man, like being that stoic man, the one that has no feelings, that has to just gulp down everything and just bury it. And when it gets too loud, you just start drinking and you forget about it. You pass out, you wake up the next day. And after um, years and years of that, that's where you get into these situations with mental health problems amongst men. You prioritize work over family, hobbies, health, which leads to burnout. It's something that I'm trying to teach my son, my older boy, is life is short. You're going to have the rest of your life to work. Obviously, you need to develop a good work ethic and be able to work, but also you must find time for your family, for your hobbies, and to take care of yourself physically um, and mentally, right? Mental health, physical health, they kind of coincide often, you know. If you're not happy with who you are physically, that causes issues mentally as well. And back to like the stoic mask that these guys wear, and I'm guilty of it. But I'm not asking you to go out there and start bawling about everything to everybody. I think that's another problem in itself. But you can still have emotions, and you can still talk to people about the issues that you do have going on in your life. Um, Moving on to the repeated cycles in your life. Your life isn't like laundry. You got to just keep on washing, right? Um, Doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result, is the definition of insanity. Um, so just think about it. Do you continue to do the same cycle every day, and you want something to change, and it's not changing? I mean, really, think about it. You go to work, you come home, you do every single day. You just keep on trucking down the same path, and you want something to change. You're like, oh, when is something going to change? When am I going to get a better this? Or when am I going to have, find this woman or find these friends? You're not going to find them if you're not doing anything about it. If you're not changing your ways on a regular basis and trying new things, number one, your life is going to feel just like a blip of existence by the time you're old and gray, because your brain is a computer of itself, and it will take this information. Like when you get the warning on your phone when you run out of memory and you have to delete files, and it asks you. Well, your brain doesn't ask you, it just does it. If you just do the same crap day after day, your brain deletes the files, and all of a sudden it feels like you have this short existence, like it's 8 hour day, because that's all you did 40 years. Um, I mean, if that's what you like, if you like that consistency, but you still have to go and you still have to communicate with people, you still have to socialize. And if you're not doing that, I guarantee you, you're not a happy person. I guarantee you that you're sitting there angry, or more angry than you should be, without a question. Uh, there's a thing out there, the Mediterranean diet, the fad, right? It's like any of the rest of them, the paleo diets and the red meat diets and the Atkins diet. But the Mediterranean diet, people are like, oh, if you eat like the Mediterranean people, you live longer, you look better. Oh, it'll just be the best. Well, there's one small thing that they don't look beyond, is the Mediterranean diet isn't just food. The Mediterranean diet is a lifestyle. These people in the Mediterranean, they live differently than we do. They go and they socialize with each other daily or weekly minimum. They share a bottle of wine. They play games together. They hang out, right? They have the ability to really express themselves with other people, which reduces stress, and it causes people to have I hate the all the medical terms like the dopamine releases and all the endorphins, and I mean there are things, right? Like all this stuff happens because they're spending time with each other, and it lengthens their lives because of the quality of life. So here in America, or at least where I live, people hardly ever hang out with each other at all. I just started going and visiting with older people at the community center every Monday morning, and it's just been absolutely fantastic. They just sit and talk, and you get to learn who they are. And I mean, some of the conversation is pretty bland, but um, there's some stuff that you get to learn, and you just spend that time with each other. And it makes your day better. It really does. Like I said, I thought when I was going there, I was going to help them with their day, make their day better. A young guy walking in to hang out with these people, but I found out it really was the roles were reversed. And I'm going to continue to try to do more stuff like that, going to nursing homes and talking with people there, and volunteering at church more often, and just trying to find more time spent with more people. COVID didn't do anybody any favors. I can tell you that for sure. But with the repeated cycles, your brain prefers familiar negative outcomes rather than like the anxiety of trying the unknown or new behaviors. You have to kick that door down. You just have to start that conversation. When you have to tell somebody something or talk to somebody or ask somebody for something, a favor, or your boss or whatever, there's that feeling in your stomach and heart and chest. That's anxiety, right? And people are like, oh, I just always have anxiety. Yeah, we all always have anxiety. The way to get rid of it and way to get through it is to just do the thing, right? Once you do that, it makes it easier for the next time and the next time and the next time. Um, and there are people out there that have debilitating anxiety that, if you do, then seek help and see what you can do. There are ways to get around it. Counseling, I would probably recommend that over medication. I'm not a big fan of medications. I think that um, we've been promised a lot of stuff that isn't really true when it comes to that. Um, but that's my personal opinion. Talk to your doctor if you have questions. To be honest. So that anxiety that comes with the unknown or new behaviors, it's tough. But if you just go through with whatever it is, whether it's the conversation with your boss, whether it's going and walking into the community center and talking with the old folks there, or if it's trying a new hobby, like say you buy a dirt bike and you want to go try to ride a dirt bike, people understand that you might be new at it, but get through it, get past that anxiety and that feeling, and before you know it, you'll be doing new stuff all the time because it gets easier and easier. You're going to suck at anything you do new, right? Like you're not going to be the best, and that's all right. We've been trained through video games and all these other crappy hobbies out there that you can be good right away. Well, that's not life. That's not real. Like I feel like video games oftentimes, which they're fun. Video games are a blast. But like you start and it's like beginner mode, and then it gets to intermediate, but then your guy gets better, and then hard, and your guy gets even better. It's almost like the same all the way through if you really think about it. I'm not saying it doesn't get harder, but it not like life gets harder, right? Um, and if you think that these repeated cycles, like say it's not working now, right? So you try more, you just work more, you work harder. It might make a difference in the long term, but if it's the same thing over and over, it doesn't mean that more is going to fix it. You gotta do. I was listening to a guy who's talking about podcasting. Uh, Mark K. He was talking about podcasting that just putting more and more and more clips out there isn't exactly how you get things to work. It's getting out there and getting your authority out there and who you are and what you're good at, more than just blasting content. So I've been working really hard at that. But um, and I just I'm just like you guys. It's not easy for me either. Um, my first episode, I felt like a fool. Um, and I go back and I listen to these things, and I kind of was, and I still might be today. But it wasn't easy. Um, it's easy to sit in front of a camera and stare at it and talk to you this way. Someday I hope to sit in front of crowds of people, and that the first time I do that, I'm going to just be shaking in my sandals because I like sandals, flip flops to be exact. Put some four-wheel drive sandals on if you're hiking, but flip flops are the sweetest. But this isn't easy for me either to do new things. And the stuff that I'm talking about, I'm legitimately practicing as well. Um, Going out of my comfort zone and doing new stuff. I volunteered for Vacation Bible School. I never even went to Bible school when I was a kid. And sure, I'm not teaching the children anything. That's probably for the better. I'm just doing security, but I'm getting to meet new people and they're getting to see, hey, this guy, he's committed. He's committed to life. He's committed to new things. And when you do that and you get out there and commit yourself to new things and you're trying to make your life better, people notice that, and they'll be willing to stick their neck out for you instead of just kind of watching you walk past every day. But let's keep on cruising here because I get stuck. But and then as we're still going at the whole autopilot thing, um, this autopilot stuff, it develops like emotional patterns that we've talked about in previous episodes. Um, the emotional patterns that you developed from your childhood traumas and your childhood upbringing and the things that you learned through that. And if you're not dealing with these emotional things, oftentimes you suppress your problems. You suppress them until somebody says the wrong thing or the wrong person gets in front of you, and you explode like a volcano. And that right there is going to keep anybody from wanting to hang out with you or be a part of your life with you. Um, and I've been guilty of exploding on people. I'm not the baddest dude in the world, and I'd prefer to, have a good talk and good handshake instead of fighting. I'm not one to tussle. I will if I gotta, but um, exploding on people doesn't feel good for anybody. Right in the moment it might, but then after you sit and think about it, or sleep on it, or drink a 12 on it, you're going to think differently. And when you do that, you suppress these feelings until you explode. I mean, it's only a matter of time, man, before you just can't handle it anymore. And we don't need to see you getting there. Um, and there's times where, too, these emotional patterns, they turn into like chronic resentment for the people around you. Say you do have a family, and you go to work every day as normal and as usual, and nobody notices the change, right? Because it's normal. It's just what you do. And you just sometimes you get pissed because you think, well, nobody even really cares what I've done. It's happened to me. Like, do they really give a rat's butt about what I do around here? All the extras, all the things on the house that I do. I go to work for 40 plus 60 hours a week, and I come home and I mow the lawn and I take care of this, I take care of that, and you get this resentment and you act and you feel like nobody gives a crap about you or your, all the stuff that you do. But if you're not going to talk to anybody about it or ask for help, then they're just going to assume that you're fine. Until you're not, until you become that volcano and you explode. Then oftentimes these guys, we emotionally isolate and we feel alone or disconnected, even if we're surrounded by loved ones. Um, but if you don't have a family, it gets even deeper and darker than that. Why do you think there's a emphasis on mental health, June being Men's Mental Health Month, because it does matter and you matter. And if you're sitting there alone and you're isolating and you feel alone and disconnected, you can do something about that. And that really, what that turns into is like this floating dread, the constant underlying sense of feeling like you're going to be a failure, right? Like you're failing at everything. You don't have much to give or much to offer. Um, this stuff's deep and it's hard because I feel kind of like a broken record at times, but this stuff matters too. And I can't wait to get to a little bit different content in the future and being able to get out there and show you what it can be done easily at low cost to go and change what you are doing on a regular basis. Um, I've never been great about making content. I've never done this before. This is new to me. You see the people with their cameras out and they're recording themselves, that used to kind of disgust me. Um, Now I'm starting to understand it. If it's for a purpose like this, what we're going after, what we're trying to accomplish together, who cares what the other people think? If you're just dancing in front of a camera on a beach, that'd be you, I guess. But that's not what we're doing here. So I've got to get more comfortable with that, recording and doing interviews and um, asking people to do interviews with me. If you feel like you'd like to do an interview and give your testimony, please reach out. I would love to give it a shot. It might just be practice. You might not even make it on here. Or if you don't want to make it on here, I don't have to put your stuff. I would never do it without somebody's permission. So off topic as usual, I find my way drifting, and that's what's next is all of this stuff that we talked about previously, the unconscious habits, the inherited beliefs, your self-worth, what you've learned over the years from your grandpa or your dad or your mom for that matter, or your siblings and any relatives or anybody close to you that matters, the stuff that inherited belief system that might not be right, the repeated cycles, the emotional patterns that occur because of these repeated cycles, and then all of that slowly makes its way down and turns into drifting. And drifting into utopia. I believe that was episode 2 that we talked about that. Feel free to go back if you didn't listen to it and take a listen. Um, but ignoring all of these signs on autopilot is when the drift begins. And shifting from living to going through the motions, right? Like you go from living your life, everything's fine, to ignoring all this stuff, clicking autopilot day after day, same garbage. Before you know it, you just start going through the motions, and you look for escapism, whether it's scrolling or substances, workaholism, where you're working constantly. You don't even give yourself time to breathe. Back to doom scrolling. It's one of the worst. It doesn't. It seems innocent, but then your kids watch you do it, and then they want to sit there and scroll on. Like our younger boy, he's got a phone. It's like our home phone, but it's like locked down, right? Like he can hardly do anything on it. Um, but he finds himself trying to sitting there staring at that thing, and it's because of watching us. Kind of makes me mad, but what do? You just try to change your behavior because they'll lead by example and they'll follow you. I promise you. Um, but days turn into weeks, turn into months, and they start to like blur together, right? That's where I was saying your brain is like your phone that asks you to delete files, but it just deletes them. So then you start to not have really many distinct memories or very many good highlights. And then that goes into doing your journaling and stuff too, right? If you start journaling daily and writing some of these things down, you can go back and you can like read through your journal. Sometimes it might be hard to do, but then you might read a story where you're like, dang, I had a really good day that day. Oh, shoot, I remember that now. Um, your brain doesn't delete it. And you'll start to have these highlights. But if you just go into autopilot, you won't. And life, like I said, it'll seem short. It'll seem like an 8-hour workday. Um, and taking the easy way out rather than the hard work, right? That anxiety kicks in and you're like, gosh, do I really want to do something new? Do I really want to change my routine? Because keeping it the same is easy. Um, but yes, this all that I'm talking about, it seems maybe redundant if you've listened to everything, but this stuff kind of is redundant. And I hope that in the near future, not I hope, I'm going to in the near future start splashing in some adventures, start splashing in some new things to do, easy ways to get out there. Some shorter videos with it's a breath of fresh air rather than such deep and heavy stuff. But I want to get this stuff out there because it's super important. And again, I'm developing a system here to help you make this easier. Like I said, I've got some apps that I'm working on. I've got my clothing line and apparel, Undivided, right there. You can see it right there, right? Um, that can you can wear that and you can purchase that to help fund this process. Plus, not only that, but it shows other people who you are, what you're about, and that you have an undivided heart and you're going to continue to strive for better and greater things for you and your family. Um, and you get into it just keeps going, right? Extreme self-sufficiency, emotional shutdown, perfectionism, avoidance, anger. Um, the only way that you can disrupt this emotional autopilot is by recognizing the real feelings causing the anger. Normalize your feelings, write it down, dude. And you don't have to scream it from the top of the mountains. You don't have to be on here telling everybody your innermost thoughts. And you don't have to, I'm doing that. Okay. You need to take control of your life. You need to start writing these things down. Normalize your feelings, whether with yourself or loved ones around you. And if they don't understand it, find somebody that will. It's not just about anger, it's about fear, the feeling of inadequacy, exhaustion, because anger is a secondary emotion. There's something else that's driving that. Um, and you got to remind yourself that anxiety and fatigue and doubt are a universal human trait. It's not just men, it's women, it's everybody. Um, we just have to try to remember that we are human beings and we are going to feel these feelings, and we have to find a way to let them out, because if you keep them bottled up, explosions occur. Measure your outcomes and not your effort, right? Like, you can work really hard doing the same thing over and over and over, and the outcome stays the same. Well, if you change what you're doing a little bit, right? You work hard still, but then you change your life a little bit and you get a different outcome. Pay attention to those outcomes and how did it happen? Was it because I did the same thing, or was it because I tried something new and your outcome changed? Mind bending, right? But it's not always about how hard you tried. It's about whether the result actually changed, and that's by changing your behaviors. Um, and who's talking to you inside of your head, right? Is it you trying to make a change, or is it people from your past? Is it that is it your dad? Is it your mom? Is it society's norms? Um, is it the younger version of you, the one that feared all these things in life and created these reactions that you have and these patterns that you've developed? The kid that you can console now that you're an adult, and you can try to make a change and react to things a little bit differently. Um, Try admit being wrong. You ever done that? Like, just admit that you're wrong and see what happens and ask for help. I mean, if all everybody else wants to do in most cases is help the people around them. And even if you're the smartest guy in the room or you think you are, and there's a time where you are wrong and you admit it and you express that you need help, those people are going to jump, man, to help you because they are going to feel needed. We all just want to feel like we're needed, and that includes everybody around you. That includes your subordinates. That includes the people that are above you at work, or within your social construct. Express vulnerability to a friend. Again, I'm not telling you have to go cry on his shoulder, but if you need to, then do it. And if you're sincere and they are a real friend, then they're going to help you and they're going to see what they can do to alleviate the situation. And when you do these things, you admit you're wrong, you ask for help, you express your vulnerability to a friend, and you tell them, something that's going on in your life that you need help with, somebody you trust. Just sit back and observe the safe outcome that happens next. If it isn't a safe outcome, then maybe those people are the wrong people to have in your lives. Like we've talked about in previous episodes, you gotta worry about the poor choice words. You have to identify the people around you and whether they are building you up or tearing you down. And if you do these things, if you admit you're wrong, if you show vulnerability and the person like tears you up for it, that outcome is maybe exactly what you needed to know whether that person is there for you or they're against you. Um, and that's something that you gotta live with, and that's okay. It's all right to find the person that needs to be gone. because that person might have been just ruining everything you got going on anyways. You got to challenge your belief systems, guys. Some of your beliefs were built in survival mode and not from wisdom. And wisdom isn't something that you can just learn. I mean, wisdom is learned behavior over time. So many of your beliefs were built on survival mode, your past. And some of these triggers inside of our brain, the anxiety, the fight or flight, those are based off of old emotions from having to run from a tiger. And sometimes we feel like we need to run from a tiger when really it's just a situation where you just got to talk to somebody about something, and we don't want to. We'd rather take off running than to actually take the time uh, to do something about it and talk, right? So if your beliefs are built on survival mode, try to identify these beliefs and try to utilize your wisdom that you're gaining over the years. Talk to some older people about these things. Uh, Older mentors and younger mentors are both a positive thing, right? Older mentors can kind of hand you some wisdom if you're willing to listen truly. And younger mentors can keep you grounded on what's happening in the world today. Because if you forget about the younger people and you're just worried about you and your awesome wisdom that you've developed over the years, and you don't care what's happening back here, um, you're going to be disconnected from reality, and you'll be an old grumpy turd of a man that doesn't like his neighbor because he's a hard worker. But the victim mentality, that challenging your beliefs, the victim mentality is one of those things. Like, if am I the victim, or was I a victim, and why do I feel like I am the victim in life today? Are you really the victim, or is it something that's been smashed into your head, a belief that you are a victim because you've gone through hard times in your life and you had nobody to trust? Is it something that's been smashed into your head by the people around you, the society that is raising you or that you're a part of? Um, and why do you feel like you're the victim? Are you? Are you the victim? Ask yourself these questions. Limiting your beliefs, limiting what you believe in life and what is good for people or good for others. You're limiting that because you are limiting your knowledge. I might think that something's different and more important. A belief of mine may be super important to me, but you just don't get it because you don't even open up your mind to why it's important to me. As far as, this conservative liberal lifestyle out there anymore, um, I believe that having a family and being a hardworking conservative father that believes in Jesus Christ is extremely important to me. It's a belief because I've tried to. I used to be a very liberal individual myself until life really handed me these responsibilities that I had to, be like, well, I can't just let anything happen. I can't let this kid just do whatever he wants, or he's going to become a monster, and not in a good way, right? Like you through knowledge, through wisdom, through life experience, your perspective can change. You don't have to believe the same thing forever. But if you're young and you haven't got much to worry about, you just want to try to project outward and care about all these other people, that's fine. You do that. I've been there. I've done the same thing. But don't hate me because I have a belief system that's different than yours, because my life is different than yours. I live in a different place. I have a different belief system. I have, a different religion, whatever your may be, whether, whatever you may deal with. But like, don't limit your beliefs. Educate yourself. Why does that person believe that? And don't just listen to all the chatter on the internet. Go read a book. Just do it. If you don't understand Christianity, then read about it. What are these people all, pumped about it for? And I try to see it the same way the other direction, but as soon as you start coming for my kids, I've got a problem. So, limiting your beliefs is child's play. Limiting your beliefs makes you look immature. Limiting your beliefs makes you seem like you just uh, have a low IQ, maybe, and and you might not. You might just be stuck in your ways, and you just can't find room for anybody else or any other ideas, and that's just too bad. And that goes back to inherited ideas. Who taught you this stuff? Were they right? How did their life turn out? Did they seem happy? Did they seem like they had purpose? Where did the ideas come from? And do they work for you today? Because some ideas from the past just don't work for other people. Some ideas from, like living in this world that we live in today, things have changed so drastically societally. People used to have such different problems. They used to have to worry so much um, about where the next meal was coming from. And now it's hard not to get fat. I mean, think about that. That's crazy, right? Like our grandparents, our great grandparents, they went through the depression, they went through, great grandparents, World War One, depression, World War Two. They saw they saw things that we can't even wrap our brains around, and their perspective is excitingly different, and they just had to survive. And now it's like we're so spoiled that we worry about things that might not be very important anymore. So where did your inherited ideas come from, and why are they working for you today? Right? So a couple questions that you can ask yourself if you take a second is this belief that I have actually true? And you can just Google it if you want to, or you can go out there and you can find it other ways. You can ask Google to find literature for you, or you can ask ChatGPT to find literature for you to find out if your belief is actually true and where it came from and who developed it and why. Answer these questions. Is this belief actually true? Who taught me this? And is this person successful, and do they have purpose in life? Oftentimes, success and purpose, um, if you're successful and you live a life with purpose, oftentimes happiness and positivity radiate from that. Not in every case, there's an exception to every rule. But who taught me this belief? And is that person successful? Um, is this belief hurting me or helping me? Let me rephrase it. Is this belief helping me or hurting me? See what I did there? Nothing really. But is it? Is it helping you or is it hurting you? You got to answer these honestly. And does this belief come from my past or my present self and the concerns today? Or is it from something that happened to you in your past and you just can't get past it? You got to answer these, right? Um, and when you get to that point, where you begin to do the journaling and you begin to really answer these questions, you can start to make a change in how you're living your life, and if and finding your purpose and changing and becoming maybe a happier individual. And you got to start challenging your habits. The habits are out there. We all have them. I've got poor habits still to this day. Substances. Um, as far as substances are concerned, I've really, really limited my substances considerably. And there are substances that I still consume, like beer or alcohol, that I got a handle on it, where I can go without or with, or if I have it with dinner or whatever, a glass of wine. Um, then there's other substances that I can't, and that'd be marijuana. And there were times way back in my past when I was younger and far more angry and lost in life, where I did much harder substances, and I'm blessed, and I thank God every single day that I'm not that person, and I was able to find my way out of that darkness. It isn't easy, and if you're stuck in that darkness, there's a way out. There's light there, and you just gotta reach for it, and you gotta find that person. So you gotta challenge your habits, right? What are your substances that you use in your life? I mean, I love sugar too. That's a substance. Um, but I've gotten better about it. And there's times where I do gorge myself in a little bit of ice cream every once in a while. And um, if I'm not consuming proper foods throughout the day, I eat junk food, and that's still a substance, right? There's addictive properties in those, or Red Bull, energy drinks. That's a substance, man. And I used to chug, 2, 3 Red Bulls in a day, and I started to have heart palpitations. I had to go get a Holter monitor from Mayo Clinic and put that on for 48 hours. I think it was 48 hours, something like that. 48, 72 hours. And they monitored my heart, and I was having these, like, I could feel it. I'm like, oh my God, am I dying? And I was in my, mid 30s. And it was a combination of that and pot. And I quit drinking the Red Bull immediately and energy drinks immediately, and like automatically stopped. Energy drinks are deadly to you, my friends. Um, and if you're consuming them, your brain makes you think that it's helping. But after I got away from them, I I feel like I have more energy now than I did before. So substances, laziness, um, not doing any extra, couching it after you're done with your day, um, just doing nothing. Laziness is a habit that you have to break. If you are lazy, you're like, I'm done with work. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna sit down. I'm not doing nothing because I'm tired. Well, yeah, you're tired. Maybe you have poor sleep habits, and maybe you're consuming substances that are not allowing you to get proper sleep at night. Escapism. That right there would be anything from getting into your substances to doom scrolling on your phone, um, just constantly watching television or garbage television. That could be an escapism. You can identify these things yourself in your life. I'm not you. I can't do that for you. But some of the stuff that I've recognized to being that, avoidance, avoiding the inevitable, avoiding the anxiety inducing behaviors, and trying to get out there and do more. So you avoid it at all costs because you know that it's going to be hard to do. Um, you know, uh, it's not easy to get over this stuff, but I'm bringing it out there so that your brain can open up to these ideas. Challenge your habits. What are they? Are they good for you? Are they bad for you? And if they're bad for you, we need to find a substitute for that habit. It doesn't just happen. You have to find it, because creating these habits, that's cyclical, right? And your brain will take you the easiest route to comfort. Um, Being addicted to comfort, you know, ooh, that just makes me feel better right now. Not having the ability to see that if you work hard right now, that the comfort will be even greater later, is a big deal too. Um, and these habits are building your future, whether you like it or not. It's just the facts, right? Like, so these habits are going to make whatever is to come what it's going to be. So if you have bad habits, bad future. If you got good habits, say it together now, good future. Bad habits, bad future. Good habits, good future. There you go. You got it. Um, and you got to start, it comes from habits. Habits are developed over time. Habits are developed over time from patterns in life and things that occurred to you, and finding the easiest way to the next good thing. But you got to also think about why aren't you changing your habits? What are the excuses that you have? And can you change them? Changing your excuses. Are you going to sit there and blame your childhood forever? Or are you going to do something about what that little kid feared? Are you going to fear what a child fears? Or are you going to change your excuse because you can't blame your childhood forever once you become a grown up? And if you do, it's weak. And sometimes, you just got to identify that and you got to change your excuse. I am not going to let that little kid keep me from being afraid of the dark anymore. I'm not going to let that little kid being afraid of the dark keep me from going out and camping in the woods, fearing spiders or fearing, I don't know, there's just a million fears out there that a child can develop that an adult doesn't need to be afraid of anymore. Fire or whatever it is. Um, Obviously, there's, again, an exception to every rule. Um, are you going to sit there and blame society forever? Because society put you in a box. And because society said that you are this type of person and you are going to stay that type of person. And you're going to use that as an excuse not to escape wherever it is you are or get to a better place, I should say. Right? Like, say you grew up, again, I grew up in a trailer park. Say you grew up in inner city in the ghetto. Say you grew up out in the middle of damn nowhere around a bunch of racists. I mean, say you grew up in all these different places. Are you going to let that are you going to blame society forever for where you grew up, or are you going to say, okay, you know what? I did grow up here. You're right. I did. But I know that I can, as an adult, shift my excuse and say, you know what? Because of where I grew up, I'm going to do it different so that I can have a better life or my children can have a better life. Um, because if you don't like where you grew up and you really are like, this place sickens me, I don't want my children to grow up here. I can't have a family here because of however or whatever the environment is. Do something about it. Change it. You know, um, you live in America. Everybody can sit here and be like, America's the worst place ever. I've heard people say this, and I'm like, you're insane. Like, go somewhere that isn't America. I mean, even like another country that's still a first world country, or go to like Mexico and go off the beaten path and see how people live there. And then come back here and maybe appreciate it a little bit, because even if you moved somewhere, right? Say you had nothing. You got nothing. And you left this place that just you couldn't handle being there anymore and you moved away. You got nothing. There's a good to fair chance that wherever you go, there's going to be help there for you, whether it's food or housing or um, clothes, free stuff that you need to survive. You go to some of these other countries, you don't get that. Um, I don't know if you've ever seen like third world countries in like Africa and stuff like that, where you'll see kids wearing T-shirts that are of a team that went to the Super Bowl but didn't win, but it says they're the champions because they have to print all those shirts um, before the Super Bowl's over, right? So that they can dole these babies out to everybody. So if that team doesn't win the Super Bowl, then there's all thousands and thousands of shirts that they send to these countries, and these kids wear them because they don't care. They just want a shirt. Um, you don't have to worry about that in America like you do other places. Are you going to continue to blame crappy relationships? Are you going to let those crappy relationships in your past determine your future relationships? Are you going to question everybody the same way that you may have been hurt, whether somebody cheated on you, whether they were abusive to you? If you hang on to these fears and you blame these relationships with your parents or your exes forever, you're never going to break free of the chains that are going to hold you captive and leading a repetitive, crappy life and not getting out of that cycle. Um, Trying to tell yourself, the excuse that I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'll start later. I'll get there. I'm not ready yet. I wasn't ready for this. This thing here is there's a a lot to learn. Like, I mean, like I've said before, the set behind me, I mean, all this, the microphone that I'm speaking into, the computers that you guys don't see off to my left. I just kept pounding money into it and being like, well, I need this and I need that and I need this and I need that. And I probably could have done it for half the amount of money if I would have just ballsed up and gotten rid of the excuse. Um, I mean, it's nice to have all this stuff. It makes things a little bit easier, but it makes it less easy because it's financially stupid um, in some cases. But if you feel like you need a thing to be able to move on to the next step, like a new microphone or a new computer or a new camera or what have you, at some point you got to stop the excuses and you need to start convincing yourself that even that you can do it, right? You got your excuses stop sounding convincing even to you if you just listen to them, write them down. Why are you not doing it? What are your excuses? And you got to say, okay, my excuse is I need a new camera. Do I need a new camera? No. Stupid excuse. Um, blaming society. Okay, so the world says that I live in this bubble here, but I want to go and I want to move here and I want to be able to raise a family. Am I going to let these people back here cause me not to get to here? No, I'm not, because that's stupid. Um, your excuses will run out, and if you don't let them, then you're just going to keep in that cycle. Um, you know, you don't even know, you don't even know yet, but the reason I'm on your butt is because I know that you can be better, and I can see it more than you do, and I'm not even there. I know you can do better every day. You got to challenge yourself. You got to push yourself to the next level. You got to get rid of these excuses. You've got to see where it all comes from. Challenging your beliefs. Where did these ideas come from? Was it you? Because if it wasn't you, then maybe you need to question the belief that's inside of your head, right? And you need to challenge your identity. How did I become this How did I become this person? Um, and what identity are you still attached to? Are you still attached to the victim because there was a time in your life where you felt like everything was against you? Are you still attached to being the child because you're afraid of all these things that a child would be afraid of? Are you still attached to the stoic, hard-nosed man that can't show weakness ever? Um, are you are you still attached to the failure, the guy who screwed up and lost it all, taking a risk once and you'll never take another risk again? Are you attached to being that imposter, the liar, the person that just can't be honest with the world or themselves? Which one of it, which one is it? Why are you still attached to that? Who and what are you still afraid of? Um, are you afraid of your family and what they think? Are you afraid of what your friends are going to think? Are you afraid of what strangers out there are going to think? Who cares? Sometimes you got to do stuff that's for yourself, but for the right reasons. And you're like, well, what are the right reasons, Adam? I don't know. I found the right reasons in the Bible. You might find them somewhere else. And I found the right reasons with my family and starting a family, going outside of my comfort zone. Are you afraid of yourself? Or are you afraid of change? Which one is it? Is it all of them? If, write these things down. Who or what are you afraid of? Your family, your friends, strangers, yourself, or just afraid of changing in general? Because it is hard. We don't want to do it. Um, and, why are you protecting these beliefs? And why are you protecting this identity that's destroying you? It's not allowing you to get to the next level. It's making it so that you hurt inside every day. You know, it's hard to change. It's not easy. But I feel like it's harder to fail. It's harder, it hurts more to not have a better life or a better outcome. You know, sometimes the stuff that's destroying you, you know, makes you forget what hurts. And you feel like nobody's ever cared to what happens to you anyway. Well, I care. The community I'm trying to build will care. I'm going to start here and I'm just going to keep going. It's unnerving sometimes. Where am I going to make my money? I don't know. Figure it out. Go work at a local pizzeria or something. I actually like pizza a lot, just so you know. You know, who you're becoming sometimes isn't the same as who you want to become, right? Like, so if you can check these behaviors and check these personality traits, check these beliefs, and just kind of use your imagination a little bit, are you becoming the person that you want to become? If you keep your path where it is, are you going to become that? And if you change your path, where will it take you? I'm guessing if you change your path, it'll probably be better. It might hurt a little bit more right away, or you might fail or slip or fall, but it, in the long term, because life doesn't just, you know, snap out of it, you know, um, because there's not really a right time to change. There's only right now. You got to start today. And if I learned anything from Rocky, the pain that holds you down is greater than the pain that it takes to stand back up. You just don't know it yet. So stand back up, because life's going to knock you down over and over. But stand back up. Every time you stand back up, when life, when life knocks you down, you get stronger. And you'll take some steps forward and bam, you get knocked back down a step back. And you take a couple steps forward. Every time you fail, every time you get back up, you're going to be a stronger, more determined, more focused, and closer to your destination every single time you get back up. Life's hard. Don't let it overtake you. And sometimes you just need to turn to faith and surrender your life to God, because growth begins when honesty replaces pride. You have to surrender your ego. And if anybody knows me or the past me, the person that they met years ago, I always had kind of a big ego. It was for protection. It was to make people think that I was confident and that I, you know, had a lot going on, that I was stronger than I really was. Um, and I think there's a lot of guys out there like that. You got this big ego, or you act like you're a tough guy, you know, but really you're just falling apart inside, or already did. Um, it was hard to give up the ego. But again, it still tries to, you know, rear its evil head. Because when it comes to surrendering your ego, the ego is controlled by the devil. And once you let go of control, it opens up your heart, and the Lord will fill your soul. And I can't explain the feeling. You you just can't. You feel whole. You goosebumps everywhere. It's a feeling that surrounds you the day that you give up your ego and you open your heart to the Lord. Again, there's days where that ego, that cockiness tries to come out and spew its vulgar words, but you have to find your humility and you have to get rid of it. You have to portray yourself as who you really are. And I was wrong so many times on my way to where I am today, and I couldn't give up the failures, and I couldn't give up, like looking like an idiot. Um, I would sound confident. I would sound like I had all my priorities straight. Um, I would be giving advice that I wouldn't follow myself. Uh, but we need each other here to get ahead, and you need to find other people out there that are better than you in the ways that you want to change, and you need to learn from them. Growth through faith is one of the greatest things that I've found in my life. I'm still working on it. It's brought out a new version of me that I didn't know existed. I still have to beat that old version of me back with a stick sometimes, but it's a new version of me that I never want to give up. I finally have it. It's here. It's me. It's mine. It's God's. It's the person that He wants me to be. But you need to have openness to change. You need to have openness to new people. You have to listen to His word, and you need to start acting upon these open doors and windows that He will put in front of you, even though they feel scary or it's a weird request, or why would I do something like that? You have to align yourself with God. God came to earth as Jesus to understand what it was like to live as a human being on earth. I think it was hard to understand the temptation without being a part of it. The temptation of the devil, the temptation of the demons, the temptations that are out there around us, the sins that surround us. People sell their souls every day, but it isn't yours to sell. You're getting duped, man. He lived amongst us and was crucified for it. Lashed over and over, hundreds of thousands of lacerations, and bleeding to death for you and me, so that we can be forgiven for our sins. I mean, there's proof. It's in a book. People are like, well, it could have been manipulated. Any history book can be manipulated. But they continue to find over and over all these things, archaeological finds that prove that these people existed, prove that these things happened in these places. You don't have to believe it, but I do. I want to read a prayer that really feels real good. You've called me to stand firm in my own battles. You rise in prayer and love for those around me. Make me strong, not just for me, but for others as well. For my brothers and sisters too weary to lift their heads, and hearts too broken to speak out. Lord, let me fight for others the way you fought for me, without fear and without end. Teach me to stand with quiet courage, not to fight with anger, but with mercy, not with fear, but with faith. When darkness surrounds us, let me carry the light. Use my life, God, as a shield of love. Let my strength come from my presence, and my victories always pointing to you. May those around me find comfort, peace, and healing, not because of me, but because I stand in your name. I thank you for being my strength, my shield, and my guide, As I fight for others, remind me that I am never alone. Let your spirit go before me and your love surround me forever and ever. In Jesus' name, amen. I saw that one and it just totally hit me in my soul. Because, like I've said, this is no BS. This is real. This is what I'm doing. And I've got him by my side. God's with me, and this will succeed one way or the other. You can't stop it when it's real. But I want to ask you to take a moment. I want to challenge you to a couple things. 4 of them. 4 things, 4 challenges. Let's go. Challenge number 1, start your journal. It can be on the back of a piece of paper. Just write it down. Write down your day. Write down how you're feeling. Write down a problem that you want to solve. Write down something that you want to complete. So write down your favorite hobby or something that you want to become a hobby and how to get there. Start your journal. Write it down. I mean, if hold on. Like if you get into it, right? Like journaling, it's like, whoa, journaling. Blah. Where is it? Self-examination. I looked it up. What powerful and successful people out there have been known to journal? All right. If you think journaling's below you, then you must think pretty highly of yourself. Okay. Leonardo da Vinci filed thousands of pages with mirror image script documenting all of his inventions, scientific observations, and unquenchable curiosity. Thomas Edison, Marcus Aurelius, Winston Churchill. I'm sure the list goes on for miles. But if you seriously think that journaling is beneath you, then I guess you are just top tier. Start journaling, write it down, whatever it may be. If you want to start reading books and writing down what you've learned, questioning some of the stuff within, let's do that. So, challenge 1 is to start a journal. Challenge number 2, in that journal, write down every excuse you make this week preventing you from starting growth. Write down every excuse you make. And then question everyone. Challenge every excuse. Why is that a good excuse? Is it a good excuse? Probably not. Challenge number 3. Spend 1 hour alone without distractions and reflect honestly. An hour seems like a long time, but I bet you spend an hour on your phone doing nothing. But it's hard to spend an hour by yourself because you got to be inside your own head. But if you've been doing any of the stuff that I've talked about since episode number 1 to here, I think you're ready to spend a little bit of time with yourself. So spend an hour. Number 3 challenge. Spend an hour alone without distractions to reflect honestly. Some people call that meditation. I go for a walk in the mornings now. I think I'm going to keep that up forever. But it gives me time to think about some stuff. And it's not right away. Like right away, I'm like all over the place. Just garbage flopping through there. But before you know it, it just clears and it allows you to really think. Number 4, spend 7 days without escaping through distractions or substances. That was a tough one. I know it. But these challenges, I'll put them in the description of the video, but these challenges are just the beginning of the program I'm developing. I'm working on an app right now that I'm pretty proud of. If it wasn't for some of these cool AI programs, I don't think it would probably ever happen. But I live in an age where we got everything at our fingertips. But it's called the Undivided Habit Tracker, and it's going to make it simple to be able to identify your habits and build a new structure, and challenge you every day to become a better version of yourself. But your future changes the moment you stop protecting the version of yourself you want to break free of. So challenge everything, guys. Challenge your habits, challenge your reactions, challenge your excuses, challenge your standards, question everything. Challenge your life. If you're not happy where you are, challenge your life. Because your future depends on the choices that you make today. And let's get serious and start challenging everything. Become the man your family has always needed, and purpose you've always needed, and the life the younger you needed. If this hits home for you or somebody else that you love, please pass this message along. Smash the like button and subscribe to my page. Send them there, send them to my page. If you need to talk to somebody, please visit my website at iamundivided.com. You can contact me through there. I check my email every day. Not only that, but you can also find shopundivided.com and my church compass that I developed as well. So if you're curious about getting to church, check out the church compass on my website. You can click on there, put in your information, what you're looking for, and it'll populate the closest version of church near you within about 25 or 50 miles, I believe. Um, Driving 50 miles to church, that'd be pretty impressive. I'd be proud of you for sure. But please message me. We can talk. I'll be here as long as you guys are here. I will continue even after that. Week after week, I'm going to keep coming with new content. There's more to come. I'm excited about everything that is coming. As usual, I'm your host, Adam Maxwell, with Undivided. I love you guys all, and we'll talk to you later. Peace out.